Good evening and welcome to WMAR 2 News at 6. We're just a few days away from the one-year anniversary of the Key Bridge collapse.
Yeah, we are learning more about what the NTSB says could have been done to prevent this from happening. Yesterday, they provided an update into their investigation of the collapse, but it ended up being really a scathing review of the Maryland Transportation Authority. So this all goes back to the 80s and 90s, Jeff. In 1980, the Sunshine Skyway Bridge collapsed in Tampa, Florida, and then 10 years later, about 10 years later, 1991, AASHTO, that's the American Association of State Highways and Transportation Officials, they issued these recommendations to all bridge owners across the country saying, hey, we need to figure out if this is going to happen again. So you guys need to do conduct a vulnerability assessment to find out how at risk your bridge is of collapsing from a ship collision. So the Maryland Transportation Authority actually sat on the subcommittee that issued those very recommendations, but according to the NTSB, Maryland never did them. Not for the Key Bridge, not for the Bay Bridge, not for any bridge. So the NTSB did it after the bridge collapse to find out what would they have known if they had done these calculations. And they found that the Key Bridge risk was 30 times above the acceptable risk threshold that was set by AASHTO. So we actually talked to the MDTA. We asked them about this back in July. We asked if they had this data on the risk of collapse for the Key Bridge, and they responded that they don't have the data because it's only used when designing a new structure, not for an already existing structure. We asked the NTSB about this yesterday, and the chair, Jennifer Homendy, had this to say.
They might want to read their own guidance. They were on the AASHTO Executive Committee in 1991, and they were on the subcommittee that developed the 1991 guidance and the 2009 update. It says very clearly on page 3, you should do the same calculation and risk assessment and put protective measures in place for your existing bridges before this guidance came out. So there's no excuse.
So she's not mincing words there exactly.
No, that is very serious there. Now, what has MDTA said in response to all of this? A pretty scathing review, like you said.
Yeah, they came out with their response overnight, and they said, don't look at us. We are maintaining that this was the sole fault of the Dolly ships owners and operators and their negligence. But they did say we are evaluating the pier protection for the Chesapeake Bay Bridge, and we will report our findings to the NTSB within 30 days as they've requested.
Do we know when that investigation is going to start, when we might have an inkling of having that information?
They said the NTSB requested it within a month, so we should know pretty soon.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Elizabeth. We appreciate it.